Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakudash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. This is your brother WW3 from the Men of Valor campaign in Greenville, South Carolina, coming back with another video in sincerity and in truth. Lord willing, it can be edifying. And I wanted to do a land back, off of the brother going in. Brother Shakam did a morning report. All right, this will be a continuation of the morning report. But today's emphasis will be on the fact that I have this article from Zero Hedge. And just a couple hours ago, it was reported that the Israelis had actually blew up like an air base, a Russian air base that's located in Syria. All right, and that's we're gonna see what comes of that. But as of right now, I saw something on this not too long ago about Israel being at war on 7 different fronts, right? And how they're gonna need America. Because the average person might be here and there's so much going on here anyway, but they don't, when you speak about Israel and Iran and what's gone on the last couple of days, they still don't understand the gravity of the situation and how it directly impacts Americans, by way of the draft, by way of, the military men and women that are going to get sent over there to fight, Everybody probably knows somebody within their family or a loved one or somebody that's in the military, whether it's reserves or whether they're actively serving, man. They all about to get sent to World War III. All right, this is World War III. Make no mistake about it, man. We're seeing it play out before our very eyes. So getting into it, all right, Israel is not going to be able to fight a war on 7 fronts, man. All right, so ZeroHeads.com, Israel cannot fight a multi-front war without support from the U.S. military. It says the recent missile barrage striking Israel from Iran showcased a security reality that has startled many people in the West. And right, so another thing, I don't know if I mentioned this in another video or not, but when I watched that barrage of ballistic missiles rain down, and we were able to watch it in a live feed, we were able to do that by way of the internet, which the Lord had the internet created so this gospel could be preached throughout all the world for when it's unto all nations, man. All right, to help, it did the heavy lifting for us. But we're also able to keep up with breaking news and live news as it comes in all the way from across the world, man. Hey, just it's being reported now that basically the equivalent of a Category 4 typhoon, which they call it a typhoon over there, we call it a hurricane. A Category 4, we got hit with a Category 3. But they're saying a Category 4 typhoon is hitting Taiwan now. And guess what? Taiwan has been at risk of invasion from China for the longest. So guess what? If they get fucked up, if America doesn't send help, which America's already stretched thin on with Israel and with Russia, I mean, you helping Ukraine. Okay, this is gonna open up the door for China to invade. And then, hey, you have all your fronts for World War III, which we've been speaking on through the Spirit. But you also have the South Korea and North Korea front as well, right? But let's get into this, man. So it says the recent missile barrage striking Israel from Iran showcased the security reality that have startled many people in the West. Israel's Iron Dome defense system is not as effective as they believed. Evidence suggests it was clearly overwhelmed, either by the sheer number of missiles, estimated varied between, but at least 200 were fired, or by new Iranian hypersonic technology. Either way, this one attack changed the prevailing perspective on Israeli air defense. The media and government officials claimed the Iranian salvo was ineffective, and they have so far reported no casualties. But see, they weren't going for casualties. They weren't moving like the Israelis move. When the Israelis try to take out these different leaders, man, they don't give a fuck who is around. They dropping bodies. All right, but Iran, you can tell they've been working with Russia, because the Russians do the same thing. They do their military operations. They're taking out MOD. They're taking out communications. They're taking out major transportation ways, stuff like that. They're not necessarily going for casualties, because their war isn't necessarily with the citizens or the pedestrians of that land. They're going for that military and its military assets. All right, and that's their strategy of war. It says let's see where we at. Says they have reported so far reported no casualties, but it's clear from the numerous videos circulating on social media that extensive damage was done from dozens of impacts. It's unlikely Israel will admit to any successful strikes, as they would only be given valuable intel to Iran. But using geolocation and the existing footage online, it won't take Iran's military leadership long to figure out what worked and what didn't. Like I said, you have the introduction of Russia into this whole thing. See how they're gonna react and respond to their airbase being hit, all right, by Israel. Says the escalation from Iran was in response to Israel's carefully planned assassination campaign against Hezbollah's military leadership in Lebanon, including Hassan Nasrallah. The attack, using pagers sabotaged with secretly planted explosive charges, then culminated and targeted missile strikes. The event came only 2 months after Israel assassinated Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh, I guess that's how you say that, while he was on Iranian soil. There are two ways to look at Israel's strategy. It was an attempt to decapitate enemy leadership and send their forces into disarray so that a larger war could be avoided. Or it was intended to enrage Iran and draw them into a larger war. If the latter option is the case, then Israel would have to be operating on the assumption that the U.S. will supply military forces to the fight, because Israel will not be able to survive a multi-front war of this scale alone. Israel is the only, they're pretty much alone in that region, all right, amongst all these Muslim nations. These Muslim Arab nations, you got Persia up in there, Elam through Iran, and the only military alliance they have in that region is America, who's also, like I said, military allies with Ukraine, with Taiwan, with South Korea. So if the Lord has it where all these begin to pop off, they're going to be stretched thin anyway, and even America isn't going to be able to necessarily help Israel in the way they want them to help them. In the past, Israel relied on its weapons superiority to dissuade potential attacks from neighbors. But that gap is obviously narrowing, as we saw with Iran's missile strikes this week. Lessons from Ukraine should also be taken into account here. Israeli armor might not have the same battlefield presence it once did if cheap drones are so effective in destroying vastly more expensive tanks. In 2006, Israel attempted a ground invasion of Lebanon with disastrous results. And they just tried to go into Lebanon again, and they're reporting casualties, which is probably why this time they struck Hezbollah leadership first. Why this time they just like it. However, Israel seems intent on fighting the whole of the Middle East at once, and this changes the situation dramatically. It says the ground game, as we have seen in Ukraine, does not favor maneuver warfare due to drones and other modern intel gathering technology. The nations with the greatest manpower have a significant advantage when it comes to attrition warfare, and that is likely how this war will be fought. Iran by itself has a considerable manpower edge over Israel. If we examine, you can see right here, the military strength, the active personnel, reserves, and the paramilitary, right? If we examine, and that's just Iran. That's not including all its proxies and all these other different things, right? It says if we examine basic population, Iran has a massive advantage with over 88 million people versus Iran's 9.5 million. Israel's 9.5 million people. And that's not counting Lebanon, Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen, etc. Iran's ability to replenish their forces with new recruits through conscription will certainly outmatch Israel's conscription. Again, we have seen this with Russia's military in Ukraine. No technology except perhaps nuclear weapons will level the playing field and give Israel the ability to win in a ground war on multiple fronts. This means the Israelis will need an allied effort And guess which country is the only candidate for the task? Joe Biden stated after the Iranian strikes. Makes no sense. The United States is fully supportive of Israel. It says, asked how he wanted Israel to respond, Biden said this was a matter in active discussion and that consequences for Tehran remain to be seen. Kamala Harris released her own statement back in Biden's position. Iran is not only a threat to Israel, Iran is also a threat to American personnel in the region. American interests and innocent civilians across the region who suffer at the hands of Iran-based and backed terrorist proxies. We will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend U.S. forces and interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists. And we will continue to work with our allies and partners to disrupt Iran's aggression, behavior, and hold them accountable. And remember, they signed House Resolution, I believe, 55 a few months ago that gave basically the U.S. government, basically the ability to keep Iran from becoming a nuclear power by any means necessary. Okay, they laid the groundwork. They knew this was going to happen. These statements fell in line with a joint military exercise and war game carried out in recent months called Juniper Oak. The program was designed to prepare for an inevitable war between Israel and wider Middle East and requires participation by U.S. forces by air, sea, and land, which means what? The U.S. will be fighting Iran and all those other fronts alongside Israel. That is war. It says, for those millions of Americans that want to stay out of the foreign wars and entanglements, the situation does not look good. For those wondering what October's surprise would be, war with Iran and most of the Middle East could be the shoe drop that everyone was waiting for. The situation could very well upend the presidential election in November and change the voter landscape yet again. Even with a Trump win, Biden has plenty of time to embroil the U.S. in a war with Iran before leaving office in 2025. The Harris camp argues that a change of leadership and policy in the midst of geopolitical crisis would be damaging to the U.S. Security. In other words, they get Americans involved in a quagmire in the Middle East and then claim the quagmire requires them that they stay in office. And that's what I've been saying through the spirit as well. All right, a major war popping off, and now we're seeing that it's right in our face. There will be no change of power, and that's going to do what? That's going to piss a lot of the Trump supporters off. And hey, that could incite civil war here, man. All right, so it's all coming down the pipe, man. This is why this is so important. This is pivotal. I keep saying that word, pivotal. This is pivotal as far as the election outcome. If there's going to be an election, even if they say Trump win, you know, I've been saying, and I spoke with this to brothers, but now it's becoming more of a possibility, so I can say it. And I speak as a man. I'm just speculating, but even if they say Trump wins and he wins by a landslide, guess what? The inauguration isn't until January 21st, and a lot can happen, as we've been seeing, can happen in between that. And if Trump was to win, but this war goes full on, there won't be a change of power, man. All right, they're gonna keep Biden in there, and if something happens to Biden, they're gonna put Harrison will be in there. All right, that the election will be off. All right, so that, and then people, hey, you thought these Trump supporters, they thought they got robbed last time. You know, hey, this is what's gonna make them take up arms, man. So I wanted to get this, mainly this scripture right here, you know, because I'm at the plantation, but I wanted to bring out this article, and there's just so much going on. Hey, the scriptures we always bring out: the second oil is past, behold, the third woe cometh quickly. It's at the door, man. Now, it doesn't mean the missiles are going to fly tomorrow. The MOTB, and we got to say this for the umpteenth time, the CHIP, the MOTB, still has to be implemented throughout the world before this thing goes nuclear. But the Lord is already setting the groundwork and setting the lines in the sand and creating the allies and axes of resistance and whatnot for when this shit does, when the MOTB does become mandatory. It ain't going to take long, man. We ain't going to be in this motherfucker for years, you know, in the woods or in the wilderness or evading, you know, troops and shit, you know, for years, man. All right, this thing gonna happen relatively quickly, but we're seeing that, you know, these nations are seeing blood. They're not fucking with America. They're not fucking with Israel. All right, and they ready to put this bitch in the dirt, man. So this is Obadiah 1, and I'll start at verse 6. It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? And we seeing all these different things come out, you know, just on different things. Right now I'm focused on this this war, but there's so much to speak about right now. And the Lord has brothers in overdrive right now bringing out these different topics, you know, according to their portion. I'm pretty sure every brother can't keep up with every single thing that's going on, man, go full on depth. But that's where the body comes in. Brothers are hey, the spirit is working in overdrive and has us bringing this information out because the time is short, man. Hey, you know, the elect could very well be sealed, man, the way things are moving. It says, verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have prevailed against thee, and have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Let me read that again. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in them. Right? And actually, there was something else I wanted to get. Oh yeah, going back to verse 2, jumping up. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And we know this is speaking about Esau and his latter judgment. All right, but hey, in particularly, you know, you could apply this to the chief house of Esau, which is Amalek, which are those imposters that are occupying our land. And the scriptures speak about that. You know, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, you know, hey, and all these heathen in that region are occupying that's our land over there, man. Not just that small slither that they call the state of Israel, or the nation of Israel, whatever. You know, our land was much bigger than that. You know, and you got heathens that are possessed it, and now the Lord is about to make them fight over it. You know, but hey, everybody hates these damn these 1948ers over there, man. You know, and they're best believe they're rallying to bring them down and America down. So hey, you know, that's like the cherry on top, the fact that America's going to enter this war as well. So, you know, we're gonna see what comes of this. All right, well, which we know we know what comes of it ultimately, but we're gonna see how this progresses, because let's see what Russia has to say about that base being taken out in Syria. Let's see how they respond, because Russia has already been against America. And the Lord is putting the hooks in their jaws, man. And they're going to be a guard unto Persia, you know, which is Iran, and the neighboring nations and whatnot. So World War III is here. All right, it ain't coming, it's here. All right, hey, get your household in order. You know, hey, we in the time of hey, well, we're going to have to really lean on Yahweh Bashim Awashah, man, that's what he requires. You know, without faith, it is impossible to please him. And that's what the Lord requires of us. All right, and we're going to continue, Lord willing, to have faith until the end, man. We ain't got long. We almost out this bitch. All right, but this was the morning report. You know, Israel and its 7 fronts of war, and America is going to be dragged into it, man. You know, so Lord willing is edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem, Rakakadash, and double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who will. Peace, love, and salutations to the hopeful elect. Till next time, Shalom.